Today's interview is with Bronson Kaufusi. Bronson is now an NFL agent. I don't know if you're strictly NFL, but played in the NFL, was a standout at BYU, defensive end, couple teams in the NFL. We're going to get into his career a little bit, but thank you so much for joining the Moneyball channel, man. What is up?
Oh man, not much. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I almost gave you like a Jim. I gave you like a Jim Rome. What is up? Remember that guy?
What
He's still
is
on?
up? Yeah, that's
What did he
awesome.
call? What did Rome call his fans? Aren't they like
What did he call them? I can't
the
remember.
clones? The clones.
The clothes.
Yeah, the clones.
Yeah, you might need to come up with something for all your fans.
So how you doing, man? It's great to have you on and great to talk to you, man. What year were you drafted coming out of BYU?
So I was drafted in 2016 to the Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah, I was drafted in the third round out of BYU.
Okay. And then I guess go through the timeline of your NFL career.
Okay.
Did you make that team? Did you make the Ravens rookie year, or how did that go?
Yeah. Well, I was drafted in the third round. I dislocated my ankle, spiral fractured my leg during training camp.
Yikes.
So that was tough because they told me I was going to be done playing. And that was it. Honestly, that's what they told me. And I was like, no, I got to try to
For good? They said you're going to be done for good?
Yeah, just because the way that they had to go in and fix it, right? They went and like cinched down my ankle and with 2 titanium tight ropes. And then when they did that, the bone flipped up. So then they had to cut through my calf and put like another plate in. And so they said it was going to be tough just in my position, just coming on the edge because my knee couldn't track over my toe anymore. So
did you have James Andrews on it?
I had Dr. Anderson do it. He was great. So, but I came back, made a full recovery. I'm still was challenged from that. So I had to switch up a few things on the field with how I played a little bit, but it was good. Was able to come back.
Let me ask you something straight up, man. And I've had so many athletes on the show, and so many have dealt with different injuries at different points of their career. Here you are, absolutely the prime peak of your life, getting drafted in the National Football League, every little kid's dream. You're a 1% of the 1%. And then this happens, right? And we're going to keep this everything positive, moving along, everything else. But I love these. You are no doubt a confident person who overcame. I can tell just within the first 2 minutes of talking to you. But how dark did that hole get for a short period of time, or that state, right? Like, oh my God, man, I got to this level. Here I go, training camp. And, and to have an excruciating injury, which obviously, and then they say could potentially be career ending. What did you do to stay in the right mental state, man? And this is more a question, I think, too, for athletes, that watch and listen to this show of all ages, that, if something were to happen, you said you like helping out athletes and stuff. Like, how do you keep that mental when they tell you something like that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So fortunately for me, unfortunately, I had gone through, something somewhat similar where, as a senior in high school in the second game, and this was like peak at that point, right? Where, I'm supposed to go play in all the All-American games and, I'll do all that. I tore my ACL in the second game, and I was a basketball player too, right? So I was like supposed to go to basketball, do all the stuff. And
did you tear it playing basketball or football?
I tore it playing football. So in the second, so then I was out that whole senior year.
Okay, gotcha.
So what made it unique is I was out that whole senior year. But then I served a church mission for 2 years right after. So technically, right when I got hurt, I knew I wasn't going to play for 3 years.
Yeah.
So
I already knew you were going for 2 years, right?
I was going for 2 years after that.
And what's more amazing, man, is you committed to that and you still did it.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you chose that over going back and you knew what was at stake.
I did, yeah.
That pretty much right there, Bronson, tells me everything I need to know about the type of character you are, man. If you committed to this church mission and said, I'm doing this regardless, that's amazing. I don't think many people would do that, bro. I think a lot of people would say, listen, I got hurt. I have a lot to prove. I need to go show and prove. And then I'll do the church stuff down the road. You didn't do that.
Yeah. And that was in high school, right? So I experienced that. Then when I went to and I didn't really get hurt. I didn't miss a season in college. But in the NFL, when that rookie season, right, I got drafted, I show up and I'm starting to do really good. I'm starting to get, starting to rotate with the starters. And then that happens. And, the rule in the NFL is, rookies don't get hurt. And it's like, okay, why do they say that rule? Because the NFL is such a competitive landscape.
Sure.
That, you're a damaged product, right? So for me, I was able to come back, right? I was able to come back, play, make the team the next year, played a little bit. I was still hurt a little bit. Next year was
So
released,
not
picked up by
so,
the Jets.
and I apologize. I interrupt often just because I love the
Yeah,
story. I
no, it's
get into,
great.
but so you made the Ravens the following year.
Yeah.
They
Mhm.
stuck with you. I mean,
Yep.
listen, when you're a rookie too, they have to invest a little bit of money in a third round pick, and they have to say, okay, listen, we're going to stick this. After hearing the fate of that injury, I do have to give a little credit to the Ravens as well for sticking with
Yeah,
it,
for
right?
sure.
Because there's a
For
lot
sure.
of teams that would be like, peace, man. Look, we just can't take the risk, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're going to take a hit on the cap or whatever it is, like we just can't risk it.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I think a lot of it, going back to your original question though, I think, they're a great organization. And then also I think like the culture in that is that they have over there is just, defy all odds all the time. Right. And so,
That's all.
so I, for me, what helped me get through it was I had been meeting with a mindset coach since my sophomore year in college, and
Okay.
so at that point, I'd been with him for 4 years, and so one of the mindset skills that I learned that helped me a lot was, it's really things get really you open up you open up the room for anxiety, depression, struggle when your focus is big, right? But then when you really shrink it down and you go day to day, physical therapy, activity, whatever you're doing for that, and you just go like that, and it's just little, then there's no room for any of that, type of self-doubt, and all you're doing is looking at wins as you go. And so that's what really changed it for me. Every day I'd show up there early, get my treatment in. I was there all
That's
day,
incredible.
right?
That's an
Stay there
incredible
during the
attitude.
off season,
Yep.
like it all matters, but it all adds up. But it's hard. It's hard to be able to focus that tight when everything's just like in your face.
At its zenith, though, I mean, how frustrated were you, right? Like even with the PT, you get to a point where there's just things you like, I can't do this. I could do this so easily before, and I just can't do this now, right? And was there ever a time where you said, I'm hanging up the cleats, or were you like, I'm gonna make sure, like I'm steadfast to make this happen?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My mind was set. I was set on coming back and really going till the mindset just go till the wheels fall off, honestly. So I just kept going and for me, there's always good light and darkness, right? For me, I got something that helped me a lot, which I look back now and see is I saw how I was able to take that time, and that was my entrance into the business world, investing, real estate, all that stuff. So just because it made me sit there and think like I had no control over this, and I don't have control over a lot of things in this game. But what I do have control over is, stuff off the field more so. So getting educated, asking people the right questions, learning about business investing, and honestly, as time went on, I learned like I was meant to learn these things so that way I could go and help my teammates out with everything as far as generational wealth and tax strategy and all these different things, right? And so, which was good. So I was tough. It was hard,
I'm
but
a
I
big
feel like it's always the best things always come when you go through the hardest stuff.
Yeah, and I appreciate you answering that question. I'm sure it's not the easiest thing or the most, something you love doing is going back into those times, right? A lot of times people, struggle with that a little bit, and I appreciate it because I think what you said is, you go back and it's an effort at the end of the day, ultimately to bring awareness to other people who are going to struggle with that, man. Um,
Yeah,
I,
every
I
athlete
mean,
gets injured.
yeah, right. I mean, at that level, like I said, when you're in that 1% of the 1%, it can be absolutely devastating to a career, or we can flip it and just keep on trudging through it, right? And now then how did it end with the Ravens?
Okay, so second year I played, third year, I mean, I had got released. I got released at the end of training camp. They pretty much told me they'd already taken two other guys in that draft.
Okay.
And so they were like, "Hey,
Would this be the
you know,
18 draft then?
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
18 draft." Well, both of them, right? The 17 and the 18. So when you add it all up, they had taken a lot of guys, right? In as far as like defensive linemen and defensive ends, outside linebackers. So, anyways, so they released me, and then I got picked up by the Jets. Went up there, right? I was there for a few years, transitioned. I did tight end. I did both during COVID because we ran out of tight ends. and then I did only tight end. I went up to Green Bay.
Stop, man. Stop. Like, oh, and I played some. I know you played a little high school and in college, but this is the NFL level. Do you know how good of an athlete you need to
Yeah.
be to say, all right, I'm a defensive end by trade, maybe an outside, and wherever this team needs me, you need me to go catch some balls. I'll line up against, the best DB in the league, and I'll get out there. I'll fake like I'm blocking and catch some. I mean, that's insane, dude. So
Nah.
I know you say it lightly or whatever, but you are a phenomenal athlete to be able. You're 6'6", right? You have that tight end build. I think sometimes, with DBs, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because you would know more than I would, but that speed around the edge, right? If at some time, right, and I don't know if the injuries, had any impact on this at all, or how wicked fast you were coming off the edge, but that pretty much sets you up to be a perfect tight end then, right? If there's any loss of step, is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, and just I mean the NFL, they know everything about you. So
Yeah,
they
that's
they
true.
knew I was recruited as a tight end. And then a lot of people didn't know that, but as a tight end out of high school,
Okay.
and because I was a basketball player, right? And then I never really, I would say, but I'm at the high school level. At my high school, we didn't use tight ends, so
Really?
I would just go in on like goal line, or we ran the spread offense. For me, it was just like second nature to where I
Okay.
mean, and they could tell when I went out there, they were like, you know the head coach GM, hey, yeah, how about you do it again this week? I was like, okay. So I just did it again. And then next minute they're like, all right, how about you just do both? And I was like, okay. And
Who
so
was
that's kind of what kind of set me off into that whole tight end world.
who was the head coach back then, Jets? That wasn't Ryan,
It
was
was
it?
Ga- it
It was
was
Gase.
Gase.
Okay, Gase. Yeah, okay. And who was the Gase was an interesting fella. Who was
Yeah.
the head coach of the Ravens when you got drafted?
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh, yeah, yeah. How
Yeah.
was your relationship with him, man? Did you get to know him at all?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I knew his brother, Jim, just because when he was at Stanford, he
Yep,
recruited
yep,
me.
yep. Okay.
So I had a good relationship with Jim already. So
Dude, those guys
yeah,
stand on
I knew
football,
Jim.
man. They stand on business, they stand on
Yeah.
football. And if you're in with those guys, you're doing something right?
No, they're great.
Now, lead me into the transition. So, a couple years with the Jets,
Yeah.
and then the last year I think was then with Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was in and out of the league, just training, trying to get picked up. But at that point, I was like, hey, you know what? I pretty much, I already had things rolling before I was done.
Okay.
Uh, so
Well,
I
you're
was into real
smart. You were
estate.
lining up and saying what's going to be, you weren't saying I'm going to put all my chips in with the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you had started that proactively when you even before probably you got injured. But you're a 27, 28-year-old young man who's very cerebral, and you're looking at it like, okay, man, even if I go out, I make a team great, but I'm not going to play forever. So you started stacking and lining things up. Did you know where you wanted to go and what you wanted to do? I know you said some investing and stuff. Was the ultimate
Yeah.
goal to become a player agent?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good question. I felt like I learned the superpower that athletes have available to them if they choose, right? And that was, at BYU when I played in the bowl game that week. But a few days prior, the head basketball coach called me and was like, "Hey, we want you to come play on the basketball team after the bowl game." So I was like, "Okay." So I went and did that, joined the basketball team. I played on like Friday or something, then
That
joined
is
the team on
wild.
Monday.
You're like this guy right here of BYU, bro. You're the
Yeah,
Bo Jackson over there, man. You were
trying
the
to be, trying to be, right?
right? Yeah, yeah.
So so then I joined the team, and the thing that really like changed it for me was, this is right after like Jimmerford era. We when we go on these away games, we would take, two private jets, and whoever owned it would come and be with us, and and I'd sit there and for 2 hours and just ask, this individual and their other, really high level business
Pick their
executives and
brains. You pick
friends,
their
and
yep.
they're just pouring into me. And I'm like, all of a sudden it clicked in my mind, like, wait, why are they pouring into me? And then I realized that athletes and high level business entrepreneurs and high level business people, there's a bridge there, and it's truly the bridge of discipline and high performance. And so when I learned that early on, and that's what really helped me because in the off seasons, it's like, yeah, I'd go train and do all that stuff. I have no issues going and playing some some golf or taking someone out to lunch and just asking them questions, staying curious, right? And so that's a big thing for me that changed it for me. So I got into in 20 so when I got hurt, I started interviewing people about real estate and saying, "Hey, I'm an analytics major, statistics, like I like numbers. So money's different, real estate's different. So if someone could just teach me, I'll invest, but just teach me as we go here." And so I learned all about how to use real estate to be a tax efficient strategy, especially as a W-2 earner in the NFL, right? And how to strategize around that. And then that then led me down tons of other paths and meeting more people. And so, I was ready for the opportunity to, when I knew the playing career was going to end. And that's the thing I think athletes don't really realize is like, I don't care who you are. You have a beginning and you have an ending in this game. And so you're always transitioning. And that's why I try to share with all the athletes, you're always transitioning and you have to take advantage of that superpower, which is when you knock on a door, people open it and people will actually share with you and pour into you. And if you're willing to be humble and say, I don't know, or can you expound on that? Can you share more?
That's the
It
key.
changed.
That's a key element, man. And athletes are synonymous with that, and you're absolutely right. Not with being humble. I meant with the prior part of it. Certainly not with being humble. Although you are, bro. But I'm saying you meet all types, right? But
Yeah.
synonymous with, like you had said, right? There's almost an empathy with high level risk takers or high level earners or high level entrepreneurs than with that, as with athletes. There's an empathy there, right? You can almost see into their soul, for lack of a better word. You can see their dialect. You can kind of see where their brain is. I think you made a great point when you were just saying something. You said every career comes to an end. A lot of athletes go into coaching because I think it's an easy bridge to cross,
Yeah.
right?
Super easy.
And I don't mean that any disrespect to any of them, but it's a very easy bridge to cross. Now, I think they get opportunities that they shouldn't sometimes
Oh yeah.
because players aren't necessarily great coaches. And I think just because, your name is Myles Garrett or your name is Bronson, like, okay, now you have this job before, you might beat out five other guys because of your name. There's always that element to it, man. You see that in other sports a lot, even head coaches, because it'll draw fans in. If you have a bad team and your new head coach is basketball, you see it a little more, things like that, right? Like Michael Jordan tomorrow decided to be the head coach of the worst team in the NBA. It's going to change your fan base that day, right? It just is. It
Yeah.
just is. People are going to go to see MJ on the sidelines. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes there's jobs that are unearned. Now, with my rambling here, where I'm going is the best former athletes know that there's more to it. Let's not take that easy bridge, right? Let's go and see what else we can do and learn how to maximize who we are. And that's what you did. And that's what you continue to do, bro. And I'm really excited to hear more about OG1. Like career ends, Jets, right? Or I'm sorry, Packers. How did you transform? Was it, hey, I'm going to take a year, take a sabbatical, do another religious type thing, right? Maybe go out to the desert with some ayahuasca. Did you call Aaron Rodgers, say we're going to head out to the desert? Like, what was that? Did you take some time off, or were you like, man, I want to go get it?
Honestly, I never took any time off. I was just staying busy because so when NIL came out in 2021, that week I launched a tech startup while I was still playing, learned a lot from that.
Really?
To help college athletes
Was that
get money.
coincidence?
No, I wanted to do it and
No, but the timing of it was the timing of it coincidence.
oh yeah, that was just coincidence. I was
Okay.
just doing it
Yeah.
and I had a partner that was pretty much running the show there, but I learned a lot in the NIL space, right, which was great. And then I got into I taught a class at BYU
Okay.
about, self-branding and I was just trying to pour back into the
That's
athletes. And
awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing I realize is like that's one of my North Stars is to give back to the athletes because I felt like I had such a leg up on a lot of athletes just because my dad was he played in the NFL,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he was a coach.
Yeah.
And he had already lived that life once. And so
Going to ask more about him, but I wanted to make this about you. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the only reason I didn't, but I'm glad that you touched on that. But go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying. Yeah, I think that's a thing that I felt fortunate to have, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give back on the athlete side. I'm gonna give back in two different areas, and it's gonna be mindset, right?
Yeah.
Specifically young athletes. 'Cause I saw that gap when I came home where young athletes, I go to these AAU games and I'm seeing, athletes just really struggle. I'm seeing parents chew their kid out and then walk over and grab their kid and take them out. And
Dude.
it's terrible. I was like, I thought we got over this year, like
Oh, God.
15 years
It's
ago.
it's worse than it's ever been now. But we
It's
you and
worse
I
than it's ever been.
you agree on. Good. Well,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
let me interrupt though, because one of the most intriguing yet frustrating things for me when I see NFL players, okay, and I know there's more of a spotlight on it now. These athletes don't know what to do with their money, and everybody's got a handout, right? You all of a sudden meet a cousin that you never knew existed, and you got a brother-in-law from a former marriage who's looking for some cash. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's calling you and texting you and saying, "Hey, so as soon as you got drafted, right? And I don't know if that was your experience, but it is for a lot of athletes. As soon as you get drafted, man, you got friends coming out of the woodwork. No one who believed in you and never thought you would make it. Well, look, now Bronson's in the NFL. He must be getting, and
Yeah.
not to mention, bro, like, 2016 third round money. It's great money, but it's
Yeah.
not,
No,
you're not
it
set
is.
for life by any means. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
No.
people think just because you're NFL, no, you have to earn the next contract, the next contract, the next contract, right? Like you do get a lot of things for free. You do have this, but you still have to be smart with your money, which is, I know what you're saying right now, and that, that's what you teach people. Does that relate? Is that kind of these courses and where you want to be? Like when you have a new athlete, right? Like say they're with OG1 and
Mhm.
you have a new athlete. Is that kind of, do you gear toward that right away and be like, hey man, listen, this is the direction we're going, is entrepreneurship and those kinds of things? Like, I guess, give me the gears inside OG1 with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the foundation is that every athlete in OG1 understands that it's more than football, right? Like, football is an opportunity that you only get one. You only get one opportunity to play this game, and it's this much of your life, and you have this much of your life to live.
Okay.
I don't care who you are, right? And so it's helping them understand, like, go all in. Go all in with the game. Do everything. Go as hard as you can go. But at the same time, the game takes everything, it really does. Like, and you give it all your time, attention, because you want to be the best. And so, in order to become the best, you have to do that. And so being able to then kind of switch the mindset of, okay, I'm now going to look at the game and I'm going to leverage the game, and helping people understand how to do that. Because a lot of people understand, they talk about it and they say it, but it's like, how do I actually do that? And so that's where I like to come in and just, mentor them, get them with the right people. Because really it comes down to, who you surround yourself with. Do I have the right proximity with the right people? And,
So
and
true.
so for me, that's a big thing for me when it comes to athletes. Because if there's athletes that really make the most of it, right? And they understand that and they execute at a high level. And then the transition is a lot more smooth for them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm always trying to help the athletes understand this is how you use your platform.
How much,
This is why your brand is so important. It's one of the only things you take with you when you're done playing.
how much pushback do you get on that, Bronson? So what I mean by that is the egos. We'll go back to that ego thing. How much pushback do you get on it? And what I mean by like that is, I already know, man. Like, yeah, I get it, man. I know what to do with it, man. How much
Yeah.
pushback do you get there? Because these are all, what, 20 to 22-year-old kids, maybe a little bit older. Kind of that know-it-all is the new way of society, at least from what I'm
Yeah.
seeing, right? Do you get that? You're like, hey, man, I'm just trying to help you, right? Like, I'm not some hawk trying to come in and scoop your money, and like, I'm truly trying to help you. And they have their alert up, they have their guard up, right? Because they've heard so many stories. Go inside that a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to name a specific athlete, but I mean, think of a specific athlete in a scenario. Has there been anything like that?
For me, I'm never telling anyone what to do, right? I don't, that's not my place, right? What I like to be is I just like to educate people and let people decide what they want to do. What's tough is a lot of athletes, y- they don't take the time to get educated, uh, and then they're not curious enough. So then their money is just over here, and they don't know where every penny is. And that's an issue. It's like, okay, we need to know what's going on, where it's at, and it's okay to know. And I feel like the new age athlete, because of NIL, like we're working with high school kids.
Yeah.
Like, and so, but that's the greatest opportunity ever in my mind, because if 78% of NFL guys struggle in 3 to 5 years from being done, how high will that be from high school to college, and then right when they're done with college. And so my goal is to take that 78% to zero. And what I believe is we need to if anyone that's involved in the space, we all need to get underneath and pull this way, which is, hey, let's educate the athlete as soon as possible and the whole tribe. Like, we're going to educate mom, dad, brother, sister. We need them all to be underneath the same vision of, hey, this is how taxes work. This is how cash flow works. This is how, and we're trying to get to that point of generational wealth.
Yeah.
So that way everyone is on the same page. And I think that's one thing that's been missing for years. Like, even when my dad played, 30 years ago.
I'm so glad you just said that, because I was going to say a lot of these guys that you're talking to, their parents played in some capacity. Like, you see that so often now, especially in baseball, where their parents
Yeah.
played, and their parents didn't know how to manage their money. And
Yeah.
these guys now are just living. Some of them might be like AAA coaches or something like that, making 60, 70 grand a year, whatever it is. And they never managed it right. And now they have the opportunity to help their kid with the help of OG1, right? They can help their child get to that generational wealth type thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's just education. It's just having the right team around you to ask questions to. And I think, I mean, like OG1, you want to have people that have, just like anything else. Like, you want to have people that have a really strong track record. Okay, Bruce, right? He's been in it for over 30 years, and he's done over $3 billion in contract negotiation.
Yeah.
In the NFL. Like, okay, that's awesome. And then also we have the education platform, right, where we can come in and help you learn and get
Sorry.
you prepared for life after football. I just think it's, there's you wanna, like, I always look at it like if it was my own son, right? We got 3 kids, and
You
my
have
oldest,
you have 3 kids yourself?
yeah,
How old are they?
6, 4, and 2.
Oh, dude, you are in the thick of it, man.
We are in the
You
thick of
are
it,
in the
right?
thick. You
So,
got boys, girls? What do you
a boy and 2 girls.
Good for you, man.
So,
Blessed.
but they're in
Blessed.
sports though now. It's just like you and your
Oh, yeah.
boys.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
it's crazier
So
than it's
you
ever.
already know. I'm surprised you didn't interrupt me when I said, because listen, you already know that 6-year-old, whatever sports, is that a girl?
It's a boy. Yeah.
Okay, so you got the 6-year-old boy. He's not only going to have the job of defending his younger sisters his whole life, but now he's got to follow Bronson's footsteps, and he also has to go and navigate this world of sports, which is kind of ugly right now in youth sports. That would be a
Oh,
whole nother show. Maybe you and I can do a part 2 at some point. But I'm
we
saying,
should talk about that.
dude, I would love to. We'll do
Talk
another.
about that
I'm
because
dead serious. We'll do a part 2, and we'll
I
do it
created a
because.
whole company around that. We
Did
should
you
talk
really?
about that. Yeah, because it's called Young Athlete Society, and it's literally just
Oh,
so parents can get educated
yes.
on how not to be uh liability to their kids'
I love that.
ecosystem, sports ecosystem, because it's sad. And so and once again, it's like, if you didn't grow up in the space,
Yep.
you just don't know. You just don't know what you don't know. And so there's a lot of parents that just, they love, and they love their kids and they mean well, but there's certain things that, like, if you grown up as, in the sports world, it's like, oh, you don't want to do that.
You
They're
know,
trying to save them.
You're spot on. And out your way, it's a little bit more football. And in Buffalo, hockey is real big with that, because
Oh yeah.
there's been so much success to come out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane, arguably the best American born player ever, is from
Yeah.
5-10 minutes down the road. And there's been a lot of hockey success to come out of here. So what you get is you go to these rinks, and every dad thinks they have the next Patrick Kane, and they don't know,
Yeah.
or mom. I shouldn't say dad, mom. I mean, the moms
Yeah.
are worse,
The whole
right?
family.
The whole family, and they don't know how to act, and these kids are so young, like you're not even close, but like, and then the money they'll start investing, and the money that they start getting ripped off and paying for certain programs and development camps. And again, we'll do a part 2 with that, man. But getting back to, I do want to say this: when I was younger, and still even now, a dream job is like, an athlete agent. It's just,
Yeah.
anyone who loves sports and has a passion for it the way I do, and grew up and just has been involved with it my whole life, that's a dream job. When you first got into it, was it everything you expected? And do you love what you do?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, to me, it's like, if I'm gonna get involved with anything, it better change lives, right? Like, I want to wake up every day ready to go serve people, help people win, And so, being able to help athletes, and their families, right, navigate the sports kind of, the whole sports world that they have, is just so, I mean, it's really rewarding, and I wake up excited every day, honestly, to just go and help people and answer questions, get things done. And and it's just fun, right? It's just so fun. Like I love it too for my family. Like I love how my little boy gets to be around the sports world and and see meet the players, the coaches, go to the off season trainings, with the guys and
How do
do
you go and
everything.
how do you go and recruit? So, a question I've always wondered. It's a very, very competitive world that you're in, right?
Yes.
Sports
Hmm.
agents, very, very competitive world. I know a lot of you guys are lawyers or, and have those type of degrees and stuff like that. And I know it's very competitive. And then it's almost like when you Google and you look this stuff up, it's almost like standings, right? It'll have like Tolner and OG1, right? And then it has like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Rosenhaus, right? And there's like in
yeah,
the wild card chase, here's like this guy, it's almost like standings.
yeah,
It seems very, very competitive. How do you go and seek them out? And, I guess how has your perception been? How have you been perceived being a little bit younger, right? You're 34, I think.
yep, yeah,
And, still a young man. So do you ever struggle with that? A, and B, how do you go out and try to get these clients?
yeah. So I would say, like being on the younger side in this industry, you're right. There's a lot of benefits with it, just because you're able to come at it from a different point of view than a lot of
You're
other
more
people.
relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's easier to, it's easy. I don't know. I feel like it's easier for me to relate. Yeah, to relate to the kids, and
100%.
then also relate, what the kids are feeling and seeing and doing to the parents
Correct.
in a way that maybe the kid couldn't communicate, but I can communicate because I understand,
Right.
their athlete and what's going on, and I can communicate that to the parents in their language.
Right.
And so I think that's a huge strength there, that I've seen. And then I think, like, as far as like the recruiting piece goes, this business, it's all who you know, right? And so for me, fortunately, I grew up, in the football world, and my dad coached for so long, right? And I mean, I grew up in the locker room, right? In football, this is like something I always say is like you never leave football. Like once you're a player, you never leave it. And
It's
so
a brotherhood. I mean, it truly is a
yeah,
brotherhood. Yeah.
it
Unless
is.
you by choice want to, and if you want to alienate yourself from the
Yeah.
game, then you can. You're always going to be welcomed with open arms, and they're going to say, "Oh man, I knew your dad back when he was
Oh
playing."
yeah, that is a
Right?
conversation I have all the time.
And bro, then you're going to hear that in a few years. People are going to be like, "Oh, with your son." They're going to be
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I knew your
yeah.
dad Bronson. Your dad Bronson's my dude," and it's just the circle of it.
And that's true. It really is. And it's like that's the thing for me is I think for a little while there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna build merit outside of the game, right? And then I didn't really have the game as the centerpiece. And then I came back around where it's like, okay, no, the game is the centerpiece. And I'm just talking about in general, right? I'm not talking about the agency talk here, but then, on the agency side, it's like my dad recruited for 30 years, pretty much. I mean, California, Hawaii, Arizona, Texas, Washington, so
Right.
all these high schools, parents, the parents recognize the name just because they're like, oh yeah, I remember meeting with your dad, and
Right.
and it is cool. It's just football really is like it's fun. When I was in Green Bay, and and Aaron said this that year, he was like, Aaron was like, football's romantic. Do you remember when he said that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And, when he said that, at first I was like, wait, what? But now I'm like, it is. It really is. Like to be able to have everyone do their job on the same play, the sacrifice that goes into it, the family's sacrifice. Like me being a coach's son and kid, I know the sacrifice of the spouses and their kids,
Right.
when their dad's out recruiting, in the off season all the time, and or the sacrifices they make during the season where they're at the office all night game planning, there's stuff,
Totally.
and so
Totally.
you
Yeah.
take it all, put it all together, and it's a beautiful thing. Like it's really cool to see.
Yeah. I think, and someone who's a little brighter, you can see it's not just X's and O's. And I think that's what you're saying, right? There's just so much more to it on every level, just
Yeah.
sports in general, man. And that's why we as humans lock on and love sports so much. I don't even know where we'd be in the world without it, man.
Yeah.
But this was awesome. I will absolutely, I'll let you get going here, but I would like to do a part two at some point. No, this was awesome. This was great, man. Really, it was my pleasure. You're the man, dude. It was you're a great dude. It was a pleasure to have you. Very down to
Yeah,
earth.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll be in touch, man. Have a great day.
Cool, thanks, see ya, bye.
All right, man. See you.